Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, if you guys could introduce yourselves, let us know your class status, so senior at Mary Baldwin, and let's start with your name, where you're from, what you've studied, and then how far you are in your studies.
Well, hello. My name is Tamia Baker Johnson. I'm a graduating senior at Mary Baldwin, and I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland. As I'm graduating with bachelor's degrees in economics and political science and minors in business and math.
Nice. And Jess?
Hello, my name is Jessica Hall. I am a senior at Mary Baldwin, and I studied marketing and communications.
Awesome.
With a business minor.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Well, of course, today our conversation is focused on maximizing your internship. So to get that started, just to give everybody a little background, part of the reason we invited Tamia and Jessica is they have both had paid internships in the last year, and just wanted to kind of get their advice on how they were able to find that internship, different lessons they learned while they were there, and some advice for other students as you guys are considering internships. So if you guys can start us off by telling us about what your internship was and how you found it.
Sure. So I'm actually still in the completion of my internship. I still have about 2 weeks left. I found my internship through the Vantage Point. I received an email invitation from Nell with descriptions for the very first cohort of executive internships at Mary Baldwin. And so seeing that, I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Let me read more about it. And so there were 3 opportunities. One was for a research position. The second was for educational development, like academic achievement within the institution. And then the third was for initiating a compost program at Mary Baldwin. And so the third is the one that I chose to pursue. And like I said, I've been doing that since, I would say, maybe like the second week of January?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somewhere early in the semester. So it's been an ongoing project. I've really been enjoying it. I'll touch on the details a little bit later, but the main goal is to initiate a compost program at Mary Baldwin. And if you all don't know what composting is, it's really just the recycling of food into soil in order to reuse that nutrients and things that are in the soil to grow more food. And really the purpose is just to have less waste in landfills and reduce climate change and things like that.
Awesome. And Jessica, tell us a little bit about what you were up to.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a question. So are we talking about internships that we have pursued through the school, or are we talking about internships that like I've done previously? Because the internship that I have on my mind is talking about the one I did at Dominion Energy, because I did not partake in the internship opportunities at Mary Baldwin due to a lot of different circumstances.
Yeah. No, I'm so sorry. I did not clarify that. I was thinking about your Dominion internship as well. So if you want to tell us a little bit about what you did there last summer, that would be great.
Okay, so I worked at Dominion Energy as a communications specialist last summer in May, and I found that opportunity actually through my friend Tamia. She was like, hey, there's this link to this website, and because she actually went to, I believe, some sort of session or conversation that was being held at the school, and
it was held by the
gave me some.
Actually,
yeah, I was like, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't get the chance to go because I was busy, but Mia went, and she was like, hey, look, I think this is a really cool opportunity to go ahead and jump on board. And she was like, I already have my, internship for the summer squared away. And so she was like, here, you try it. And I was like, okay. So I tried it, and I ended up getting in.
Nice.
So that's how I got my paid internship.
That's awesome. So you guys both mentioned finding out about this opportunity and then working through the application process. So as other students are starting to look at internships, what kind of professional advice do you guys have? Like what did you have pulled together when you started looking for opportunities, or what things did you find that you really needed to create, like your resume, your cover letter, any kind of online profile? Tell us about what you did to apply.
So the first thing that I did in my steps towards applying was, number one, make sure that the internship was something that I really wanted to do. Because in the past, like as a leader on campus, it's really easy to just say yes to anything, and then you end up overwhelmed in a lot of things that you don't really have the most interest in. So when I was reading the description, I made sure that I read through the expectations of the program, what the day by day will look like, what they were expecting of me, and I had to make the decision like, yes, this is what I would like to do, and I know I'm going to do it well, and I have enough time. Especially, I had to make sure I had time in my schedule to devote to the internship as well. And then when it came to the application process, I believe what was required was a essay submission and then an interview, as well as the submission of my resume. And so with my resume, I've been using the same one like since high school, really. I just felt like it was really good. I just kept like adding things on. It ended up being like 3 pages long, and I was like, yeah, no. So first thing I did was schedule an appointment with the Vantage Point to actually like get criticism or feedback on my resume just to make it a little bit better. I did that. As far as my essay, typically what I do when I'm writing an essay for anything is I first read through what they want to hear, because as long as you know like what the target is, what they're expecting from you, then you can like not exactly imitate it, but expand from it and apply it to you and how you can serve the group that you're partnered with, and also how you can benefit from your involvement with that as well. So just taking note of that, especially in the description of the internship. I thought that's really the most important thing, reading what they want you to do,
Yes.
because otherwise you'll end up signing up for something and like, oh, I didn't know that was a part of it. It's like, yeah, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
So definitely reading through. And then as far as the interview, practice, practice, practice. Even if you don't think that you need to, practice makes permanent. And not just practicing your responses, but practicing your confidence, the speed of how you're going to speak, which things you like to emphasize when it comes to the questions they'll ask. So typically you may want to research like top 10 interview questions. So like your strengths and weaknesses, of course, tell me about yourself. That's always the first one. Tell me about yourself. What would you gain from this internship? Why are you interested? Things like that. So just being prepared, but also being welcome to feedback from the interviewers. And also a very important thing that's also forgotten a lot is having questions. Questions shows engagement, and it shows that you have interest. So it's really important to research who you're going to be working with or for, what their values are, and any questions that you think you may have. So for example, I've been applying for jobs because I'm a graduating senior. And so typically my question is always, do you cover relocation services? Because I know I'm going to want to change cities in the future. So like that's just one question I always have on hand. So typically if you have like 1 or 2 questions that are applicable to multiple positions, it's like have them in the back of your mind. Or as you listen to like the conversation, the description of the position, then that'll might raise some questions as well. So yeah, that was a lot. But if you have anything, Jessica?
Okay, so my interview process was a little different.
Sure.
So let's tag on to like what you should do the first time around. So like Tamia said, like make an appointment with the Vantage Point or with the Career Development Center and get that resume written. Like that is your window of opportunity. If you don't know how to write a resume, the Vantage Point definitely will help you articulate your skills in a fashion that an employer sees you as attractive. So that's one of the first things I ended up doing, which was going to the Vantage Point, writing out my resume, and, you know, learning what a professional resume should look like.
Yeah.
Then my next steps for my interview process was mental preparation for one thing, and then kind of like always doing what the interview process like asks you to do. So for example, if the employer decides to like have a phone call with you or ask for documents pertaining to what you've been doing in school or something that revolves around your major, because they're trying to see like what your work looks like, if you know how to write effectively, what your grades kind of look like. So that's very important. So it's important to make sure you have good work throughout your college career so that you can use that to kind of build a portfolio. That's what I had to do. For my interview process, they asked me, can you please send us a couple different documents about what you've learned through social media or marketing or what was it called? communication.
Advertising.
Yeah, advertising, that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent them a couple different assignments that I've done for my professors previously, and they loved them. So they were like, okay, we'd like to continue the interview process. And my interview process happened over the phone. So the best way that I was able to prepare for that was to wake up early and then practice with a friend, and I dressed in business professional attire because I believe that no matter what style interview you're going for, you always need to look the part, feel the part, and be as professional as possible. Even if you're at home, you still need to look professional. It just builds this sort of, positive energy and readiness for that interview over the phone. And I feel like those skills really helped me stand out and really allowed me to leave a good impression on my employers at Dominion Energy.
That's great. So
yeah.
I was going to say, just to recap, because we covered a lot of ground here. So when students are looking at internship opportunities and getting ready with their application materials, some advice that you guys have are from Tamia. Make sure you read all that fine print, do a little background homework on the company you're going to be working for. Jessica, make sure that you've got those documents ready, like samples of your work from your classes, especially stuff that you're proud of, right? You're not going to send them your C work. You're going to send them that A+ stuff. And then both of you said make sure you get somebody to help look over your resume and practice interviews with you. So, of course, you guys have those resources available on campus, but other great people that you can ask include mentors, coaches, professors, or teachers that you might have because they have some professional background there too. Let's see. And then be prepared for your interview, right? Like dress to impress. Even if it's at home, even if it's over the phone, it just really helps you get in the right headspace. So does that include,
Also,
does that sound like?
Yeah, I have one comment to make. I think that's very important to always be ready for those interviews, especially during these times, during the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So a lot of interviews are happening online or over the phone. So knowing and understanding how to give your best possible self during any type of interview is very key.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, useful.
Awesome. Great tip. Yeah. All right, ladies. So, of course, you guys got through your respective application processes. You've been selected. What kind of things did you do to make sure that you were ready to hit the ground running on your first day?
Jess, you want to take it away?
Okay. Well, for me, I had to transition and find a place to live in Richmond, Virginia. And the first thing I honestly did was find the location that I'm going to be working at and definitely measure out the distance of how long it would take me to get to and from work, research the area, make sure that I'm in a safe, location, especially if you're working at a place that's far from home and you don't really have too big of a support system. Always, do your research ahead of time about the location, about where you need to be, what time you need to be there, and always show up to everything on time. And there really isn't, a method to the madness to prepare yourself for interview or an internship or paid internship if you don't necessarily know too much about what you're trying to do. For me, being a communication specialist, I didn't really know what that meant or how to be one. But after I got in the door and I started working on different projects and practicing and re-evaluating the assignments that they gave me, I think that helps you progress throughout your whole internship and your job opportunity. But preparation, know where you got to go and know what time you need to be there. Always show up early, never show up late. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. That first meeting, they say if you're on time, you're late. If you're earlier on time, that kind of thing. You always want to be ahead of the curve. And like Jessica said, it's so important to just show up. And I don't mean that in not only the physical meaning of like show up, like dress to impress, like have the face, the outfit, like show up with confidence, but also show up mentally, like be ready for the situation that you're in, be ready for the conversation. Typically, I'll have like a notepad of how I expect the meeting to go. So I know we're going to start off with like some introductions. I'll ask, hey, how are you? Then I'll go on with what's new with you. Like, can you tell me a bit about your background? So you go in about that. And then from then on, you want to have expectations laid out before you even get to that first meeting. So by expectations, I don't mean just like, oh, I want to be like a better writer. It's like, okay, how do you expect to be a better writer? Like, will you submit some kind of submission like once a week, and then your manager, and then your manager will give you feedback on a weekly basis, something like that. Like, you want to show up with what you want and how you're going to get it. You want to have a plan so it's solidified, because without a plan, you don't have a blueprint, you can't get it done, right? So by show up, you want to be there mentally, you want to dress to impress, have that confidence exuded with you already, and then show up as far as what you want and how you're going to get it. So it's already laid out, the plan is already there. Without the plan, you're going to show up late every time. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, so making sure that day one impressions go well. You want to get there early and make sure you know your route. Great note, Jessica, if you're relocating, to do your homework and make sure that you're in an area that you're comfortable in, because that's really important, especially if you're going somewhere by yourself or moving away from family. When you're getting there on day one, make sure you're not just showing up physically, like dressed and ready to go, but mentally. You have some goals laid out for yourself. You really know what you want to learn going into the experience. So maybe not knowing every question, but like in Jessica's case too, like, I want to understand this role. What does this role mean? Or going in with some specific projects in mind. So thank you, ladies, for that. All right, and then final question here is, once you have gotten there, you've made a great impression on day one, you've only got a couple weeks to spend with this respective employer, this respective team. So what advice do you have about really getting the most out of your experience?
I would say consistency is key. So, like, if you have a positive personality or positive outlook on your job and with your employers, keep that same energy throughout the entirety of your internship, because that's very important. Because building a positive or consistent relationship with your employers will give you connections after your internship's over. Like, they'll want you back, and they'll want the quality and the energy that you brought to the company. And another thing would be integrity. Have extremely, extremely high integrity. That is really something that employers do value. Do the right thing even when no one's watching, because during my internship, there was a lot of independent work. Like, I wasn't babysat or watched every day. Like, sometimes my boss wouldn't come to work, but I was still expected to be there, clock in on time, clock out on time, and then I was still expected to work on my projects, submit my projects, revise my projects, and, still keep a consistent, relationship going on with my employer, even if she wasn't physically there. So I believe that integrity is very important when you work for a major corporation, because you're on your own. Like, you make the best impression that you want to make, and that's what you leave behind. So always doing your best is very critical throughout your whole entire internship.
Awesome. And Tamia?
Definitely. Well, I just want to say, like, the internship that I have right now with the Vantage Point, I've had many internships in the past. This might be like number 6 or 7 since I was like 16 years old. So, like, I'm not new to this internship thing. Right. But the difference between this one is that I really appreciate the help of the Vantage Point with, like, getting me straight as far as, like, setting expectations and just realizing the importance of relationships when it comes to an internship. Because though you have a start date and an end date, that relationship that you build based on your consistency, based on your work ethic, based on the relationship that you have, it can keep your connection going on forever and ever, even after your day of work is finished, you now have a friend, a professional connection, a resource for later on, maybe even a mentor, because that's really what Dr. Satterfield has become for me. Even though like she is my manager, we're still able to talk about like how we feel with coronavirus and how it's affected our lives. And she knows my aspirations after school, so we can talk about that as well. And she's wanted to be like my reference point on my resumes and for other job opportunities. And it's just like, as long as you are, yes, and you show integrity with your work ethic and you're honest with what you put out, but you're also honest and you're able to be vulnerable with the person you're working with. Because over time, you want to get to know this person. You want to see, like, yes, I can work hard, but also kind of get to know them, of course, like on an appropriate professional level. But just being able to form that bond with someone who can give you guidance even after the opportunity is over is so valuable, and it can carry you so much farther than you may think in the day that you just show up for work and do, like, what's asked of you. Like, it can be so much more. And so, yeah, I just want to say, like, the main thing I get out of my internships is the relationship, not only with my manager, but also my coworkers, because sometimes they may be your age, or they may be older, younger, but whatever it is, you can always connect with them and kind of bridge opportunities for the future. So you never want to do anything or say anything that might damage that toilet. You always want to be showing the same consistent version of you, but also be honest with yourself and say if the workload is too much or too little, be okay with saying that to your manager. Like, have that level of comfortability, but then also like having expectations that you commit to upholding. So just like finding your area of comfort when it comes to relationships with your manager, and then also being consistent with that, saying like, I'm going to do this every week, and you do it every week, and you show them you do it, and just that consistency with your output will take you very far. So yeah.
Awesome. So just want to make sure that we recap here too. Maximizing your internship, a lot of it is about building relationships, and that's going to happen, like Jessica said, by showing up and being consistent, being positive, and being honest. You guys both really touched on that, and I think it's really important when we talk about honesty too, to talk about boundaries, right? So like, what are the parameters? What are you expected to do? What's your start date? What's your end date? And just making sure for your protection that those things are really clear from the beginning too, so that you can advocate for yourself or have something to refer back to if you need it during that time. So, sweet. All right, guys. Well, any last words of wisdom about internships for other Mary Baldwin students?
I would definitely recommend having at least one by the time you graduate, even if it's not required by your major, even if it's unpaid. Just being able to have some kind of base when it comes to your professional goals. I don't know, an internship, it doesn't have to be like something you want to do as far as a career. It could just be something you're interested in. Like mine is for initiating a compost program. I don't want to be a gardener. I don't want to be a farmer, but it's something that brings me joy. Like, I don't know, I enjoy the environment and taking care of it. So it doesn't have to be something for your career, but just know you can always leverage your interest to being something that can pay you in the future.
Awesome. And how about from you, Jess?
Yeah, make sure you have at least one internship, because that always looks really good on a resume, and it makes you look like you're more ready and prepared to join the workforce after you get out of college.
Nice. So I said that was the last question, but for real, this one will be, because you guys both are seniors. You're applying for jobs. I think, Jessica, I saw you've accepted one, but do you guys think that your internship, or have you guys talked about your internship experience when you've been applying for jobs? Like, has it helped you in your interview process or in the selection process, you think?
I think the internship that I have, I think what the part that I'm able to market so well is how I can leverage my social connections to institutionalize change at a university, because that's kind of big. And if I say like, oh yeah, I'm doing a compost program, they're going to be like, huh? But then if I say like, okay, I'm the president and I'm backing up a compost program at my school, then it's like, wow, like just being able to leverage the connections and the social capital is so important. And then as far as just my mentor, because she's worked at NIST, which is a branch of the National Institutes of Health, because she's worked there, she's been a teacher, which is the field I want to go into. She's just such a good reference as well, because she can play off of my work ethic, yes, but then also my ability to teach and be a good instructor and my leadership capabilities, and just being able to show the 360 effect of what I can offer to the business is really, really helpful.
Awesome. And it's
No, I really haven't had to mention my internship I really haven't had to really mention my internship when I'm applying for jobs. They haven't really, looked at that one too hard. Usually the jobs that I'm applying for, they're more interested in the jobs that have actually like worked, I guess. So like being a customer service associate or being an assistant manager. Like the jobs that I'm applying for, they're more interested in how I communicate with other people and how well I can, I guess, advertise myself and my skill set to not just the company, but also to the people that they want or their target audience that they want to, continue their like purchasing habits from. So that's really what I've been working with.
Nice. All right, ladies. Well, we're at the end of our half hour, so I will let you go. Enjoy this time, finals free, and hopefully I will see you guys again soon, okay? Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.